In the distant future, humanity's reach had extended beyond Earth, colonizing distant planets and interacting with alien species. The galaxy was a chaotic mixture of conflict, diplomacy, and the ongoing quest for survival. One such conflict had been brewing for years. Humans and the Threxian species, a powerful and ancient alien race, had been at war. Despite the Threxians' advanced technology, the war had been a brutal stalemate. On the barren, war-torn planet of Rellaris IV, the once vibrant land had been reduced to a shadow of itself, scorched and fractured by relentless battles. Amid the chaos, an alien girl, no more than 16 cycles old, lay crumpled in the dirt. Her body was covered in deep gashes, blood staining her silver-blue skin. Her once luminous violet eyes, now dull and tired, stared blankly at the sky above, watching as the clouds drifted by, oblivious to her suffering. Her name was Velena, and she was the last of her kind, a Threxian princess who had been abandoned by her people after the war had taken its toll. Her entire fleet had been decimated in a final attempt to break through the human defenses, leaving her stranded on this desolate world. She had been left for dead, a casualty of a war that seemed endless, her hopes of survival long extinguished. Velena had fought hard to survive in the wilderness, scavenging what little food she could find, trying to heal her wounds, but the isolation and the gnawing hunger had slowly drained the last of her will to live. She was alone, utterly alone, her people's traditions, once filled with honor and strength, now nothing but a distant memory. She had lost everything, her family, her culture, her home. The Threxians were known for their pride and their unwavering commitment to their kind, but now Velena felt like a forgotten ghost, a relic of a dying race. As she lay there, the dark sky above seemed to press down on her, heavy with the weight of despair. She closed her eyes, her breathing shallow, and prepared to surrender herself to the endless void of darkness. But fate, it seemed, was not yet finished with her. A distant sound reached her ears, a low hum that grew steadily louder. Her eyes fluttered open, but her body was too weak to move. She squinted against the bright light that pierced through the darkness. She had no strength left to comprehend what was happening, but the sound of the ship's engines was unmistakable. Human ship. The thought of humans stirred something deep within her, a mix of fear and curiosity. The human soldiers who had fought her kind for so long were ruthless and relentless, but there was a chance they would not recognize her, that they would leave her to die, just as her people had. As the ship descended, kicking up dust and debris from the ravaged ground, Velena could only watch. Her limbs felt numb, and she struggled to remain conscious, but the sound of boots hitting the dirt echoed in her ears. "Stay with me, Velena," a voice said, harsh but caring, breaking through her haze of pain. The voice was unmistakable, a human soldier, but there was something different about him. He wasn't here to kill her. He wasn't here for revenge. The soldier knelt beside her, his armored hands gently reaching out to her. His face, framed by the dark helmet, was a mixture of exhaustion and determination. His dark brown eyes locked onto hers, filled with something she hadn't expected, compassion. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his battle-worn armor scratched and dented from the conflict. The insignia on his chest marked him as a soldier from the United Earth Alliance, the very faction that had been her enemy for so long. "You're lucky I found you," he said, his voice calm but strained. "I'm Sergeant Cole." "And you are?" Velena could hardly comprehend his words, her mind clouded by fever. She tried to speak, but only a faint, rasping sound escaped her lips. Cole looked down at her wounds, his face creasing in concern. "We've got to get you out of here." He didn't wait for her to answer. Instead, He hoisted her into his arms with surprising gentleness and began moving back toward his ship. Despite her weakened state, Velena couldn't help but feel a flicker of confusion. Why was this soldier helping her? Why was he risking his life for someone like her? As he carried her, Velena's mind swirled with conflicting thoughts. She had never known compassion from a human before. To her, they were all enemies, faceless aggressors who had destroyed her people. Yet this soldier, this Sergeant Cole, had done something she never thought possible. He had shown her kindness. The journey back to the ship felt like an eternity. Her body felt as though it were made of lead, her mind slipping in and out of consciousness. But through the haze, she could feel the warmth of Cole's grip, his unwavering determination to save her. When they reached the ship, Cole immediately ordered his team to prepare for takeoff. Velena was placed in a medical bay, and the ship's medics worked quickly to stabilize her. She felt the sting of needles, the hum of advanced technology as they patched up her injuries, but the pain was nothing compared to the feeling of being cared for. The medics worked tirelessly, but the moments that stood out to Velena the most were the quiet, fleeting moments when Cole would visit her. He never spoke much, but his presence was a constant, a reassuring reminder that she wasn't completely alone in this vast, cruel universe. Days passed as Velena recovered. The ship had taken off from the dying world of Rellaris IV, and they were now heading toward a secure human outpost. It was a strange feeling, being in the company of humans not as an enemy but as a patient. As the days wore on, she began to wonder if perhaps she had misjudged them all. Ending. When Velena was finally strong enough to walk, Cole approached her in the ship's small mess hall. She had been sitting quietly, observing the humans around her. There was a certain camaraderie between them, something Velena had never seen before in her own people. It was a bond forged not by blood, but by shared experience and struggle. Feeling better? Cole asked, his tone light, but his eyes still filled with concern. Velena nodded slowly, taking in the sight of the humans around her. She was no longer the abandoned, wounded alien girl on a dead world. She was a survivor, and for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel quite so lost. "I don't understand," she whispered, her voice still raspy. "Why did you save me?" Cole took a deep breath, leaning against the table. "I've seen a lot in this war. A lot of death. A lot of pain. But I've learned something too. We're not just soldiers. We're human beings. We help each other, no matter who they are." Velena looked up at him, her heart heavy with the weight of the words she didn't know how to say. For the first time in ages, she felt a glimmer of hope stir within her. "I thought my people had abandoned me," she confessed. "I thought I was the last." Cole gave her a gentle smile. "You're not alone anymore." In that moment, something within Velena shifted. The endless darkness that had plagued her for so long began to recede, replaced by a tiny spark of hope. She had been abandoned and wounded, but now she was something more, someone who had been saved by an unlikely ally. And as the ship sailed through the stars, leaving behind the scars of war, Velena realized that perhaps the future wasn't as bleak as she had once believed. In the vastness of space, there was always room for redemption.